went live.
It's coming. It's coming. I know it's like pausing here. It's like super slow for me today. But
it went live. It said it went live.
Yeah, I'm live.
It's showing.
It's showing that we're live. Sorry, we don't have no one watching, so it won't upload the thing. What's up, Footer Nation? Gary Hootenholla here, and welcome to another episode of the NYBS Radio Show right here from the great state of New York. As always, I'm super stoked because we have Mike from Long Island with us. What's up, brother?
What's happening?
And the punkologist, Kenney, is back, and we love to have Kenney when he's here. So sorry about a little bit of a technical glitch here in the very beginning. So we had a little bit of, it just was not loading. It just was not loading. Technology. It doesn't always work the way you want it to. But with that being said, we're going to get right into it because I'm really stoked for this show tonight. A lot of Bigfoot researchers, including, everybody that's here and everybody that's in the chat that is a Bigfoot researcher. One thing that we really notice in the Bigfoot community that's starting to get a lot more steam, and maybe because, with social media, technology, the internet, is censorship in the Bigfoot community, censorship with Bigfoot researchers. What we're starting to see is a pattern with a lot of different people, a lot of different groups, a lot of different, Facebook groups of just, everyday people that join these Facebook groups, or Twitter or Instagram and those kind of things. And what we now see is agendas in some way, shape, or form, whatever that agenda is. Agenda could be just what the person believes. Agenda could be misidentification or misinformation. Agenda could be pushing to say that this is real when it really isn't. Agenda could be just egos all there. So what's going on, Dean, Ed, and Mike? So hey, Loretta. So what we're starting to really see this more and more in the Bigfoot community is these agendas within the groups. But there's problems that come with that. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, because we all see it here. And it's very important to kind of talk about. So while Kenny's still busy, what we're going to do quick is talk about Project X. So Mike, let's talk about that because that's kind of, your nice thing in the ambassador group. And as always, thank you so much for being an ambassador. So in your field, like you said, you're the paranormal guy. You're out in the woods. Tell us a little bit about what you've been experiencing lately.
It's been cold. So, there's been a lot of snow this year. And, one of the big things has been prints lately. And, with the way the weather's been, I haven't been focusing on prints much because if you're not there for the fresh snow, the first person in and before any weather changes, pretty much on point as soon as the snow is coming down, it changes a lot. So I've been staying away from that, but I've been seeing a lot of that being the focus, and you know how that's been going. So that dog might walk through there and then it rains the next day and then it melts away a little bit and then the dog print looks like it's the size of two of your fists and it becomes a dog man and all that stuff. So I've been staying away from that, but other than that, just been doing my normal thing, just boots on the ground, gifting, all the normal spots, doing my suburban squatching mixed with some new places out east that have been very promising. The further out east you go, the less people there are, the more area you get. One thing I noticed was I stumbled into these hunting areas on accident, and strictly hunting areas. And I was like, forget it. Let me just go in and check it out. And they ended up being some of the most promising areas, which I thought was kind of interesting. And the more I thought about it, I was thinking they really have the least amount of people coming through there. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Really, it's just been the same norm for me, really. Just waiting for the next project, the next experiment.
Yep.
We did the orb thing with the Native American flute music and the drums, which was cool. And I mean, you can get into that if you want. What happened recently?
Yeah, we'll do a whole nother show on that because there's a. No, you're fine. I mean, we can hint at it. So, Footer Nation, what we're talking about now is Project X. Project X is taking all the sides of the Bigfoot phenomena, which is the flesh and blood side, the paranormal type side, spiritual side. So when I say paranormal, I guess we're more talking spiritual. Mike, is that kind of what you go by?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking spiritual side, and the ufology side of Bigfoot. So we take UFOs and things like that, and we put it all into one nice pool, and we try to then do experiments based on each one of the phenomena. So one thing that we've been starting to do is different experiments. Well, as Mike was saying, we've been doing a call blasting experiment, Native American call blasting. We talk to these Native American tribes and things and elders and things like that, and they'll tell you stories about Bigfoot or the Sasquatch and what they are. Kenney and I are kind of more on their own tribe of people, right, Kenney? That's kind of where we stay on that.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yep.
So what we've been doing is, these different experiments, going into the fringe side of Bigfoot to look at that side, and there's nothing wrong with that. So doing Native American drum and flute music, what's been happening is we did an experiment to see if orbs can manifest. By changing the environment, by doing call blasting, will orbs appear? Now, the reason we did orbs is when we're in the woods, a lot of people, when they're out Bigfooting or doing other research, come across orbs in the woods or hiking or whatever they're doing. So we're trying to figure out what that phenomena may or may not be, and at least have a data pool for that phenomena. So once again, all the ambassadors have been working on that throughout New York State, and we have data already. We put out the first set of data points a couple weeks ago, so you can go on the New York Bigfoot Society Facebook page and check that out. But last night I did some more data stuff, and I was blown away. Like, I literally was blown away by the results that we had. I did not expect this to happen. And we're going to have a show on it because we have video we can actually show you. And we have audio that we can show you from my experiment I did last night. So once again, Dora, you'll have to tune in because we have a lot to talk about with that phenomena. So that's what project has been going on in Project X is we are getting data points and we are getting phenomena to happen doing these things. Is it Bigfoot related? Is it paranormal related? Is it spiritual related? Or is it alien or UFO related? Those are the things that we have to start dissecting by doing these data points. As you know, Kenney and I are flesh and blood guys, but we are still looking into the phenomena of the weird, because we cannot discredit the weird. We've all had that weird stuff happen. So that's what it is. Awesome. All right, so let's get right into the subject matter. All right, so when we look at Bigfoot censorship in the community, Footer Nation, what I mean by that is people that control the narrative. So what I mean by controlling the narratives is someone puts out a claim like, we got these tracks, all right, or I got a vocal, or I got, something awesome, all right. When you then go to make a comment on that post stating facts of what these things are, because we have known animals. That's the thing. Like, when people post a track, you need to remember we have known animals and known specimens that we can then compare these tracks to. that, you know, the NYBS, we have a professional tracker, Will, on our team who does this stuff. You know, this is what he does. This is his wheelhouse. He can tell us all about a track from, you know, the whole meaning of it, which is amazing. But your everyday common person, if you're not studied in that, you know, in how to read tracks, you may think it's, you know, something amazing. You may have like, oh my God, I got a Bigfoot track, or I got a dog man track, or, you know, a chupacabra, or even a Jersey Devil, which are hooved animals supposedly. So when we look at these things, it's really important that, you know, if you don't know, be careful making the claim. Only because when people start to chime in, when they try to help educate you on something that they know, you know, you may not like that response, only because in your mind you want it to be something that it's not. I mean, do you guys both see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from my standpoint, in the beginning of the season, we had no snow here last year. So this year, when it started snowing, I was out there before the snow stopped coming. I wanted to be the first one out there, and I was looking, and I wanted everything to be, and, you know, not that I was claiming it was, but I wanted it to be. Like I was looking. That's what I was doing. I was looking for it. Sometimes when you want it to be like so bad, you start to convince yourself that's what it is, you know, and or you know, you might put it out not knowingly, and then thinking that's what it is, you might get offended by certain people. But when you do when you're in when you're posting or you're in a field like this, you're gonna get torn up sometimes. And, you know, if someone's being respectful, you know, there's no reason not to listen to it.
Oh, 100%. Kenny?
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, the big thing is, you know, I always kind of call it agenda censorship, meaning, you know, somebody just wants to, you know, believe so bad instead of really want to know, when there's a big difference there. You know, if you want to know, then you'll really do the research and you'll listen. You know, the big thing is to definitely be, you know, when commenting on somebody's post, what I find a lot of the time is, you know, people will be, you know, really respectful, but then you'll get, you know, a couple people that'll just kind of come in and be so harsh in what they're saying, like, oh, you're an idiot, you're you know, and that's when it kind of goes haywire. But, you know, when somebody's reaching in and they're actually saying, hey, FYI, this is what this is potentially at, we're 99.9% sure this is a bear double step, this is some snow melted, this is what happened here, this is what happened there. You know, those are the people you kind of want to be around and cling to. But, you know, unfortunately there's this in the community, there's this thinking that if somebody is questioning or in any way not 100% agreeing with you, that they're automatically calling you a liar and that you're stupid. If you say theory, people tend to get upset too, because you're calling them a liar. It's not a theory, you know. And it's like we got to kind of get away from all that. And, you know, if somebody's being a total complete ass, then, you know what, then that's one thing. But, you know, if people are reaching out and, you know, they're, you know, the majority of the people are saying, hey, this is a bear double step, this is this and that. And you got the two people that are agreeing with you that it's a Bigfoot track. Really step back for a second and just really think about, you know, what's being said. Again, if somebody's coming in like a fighter plane and just, you know, calling your names, this and that, you just scroll on by. You know, you don't want to deal with that. I mean, the more you post, and you know, the more you're gonna get crap for it. You know, somebody's always gonna say something. You know, so again, it comes down to, you know, not having an agenda. And the other thing too is there's groups that you can be in that are open-minded. They all say we're open-minded. They all say that for the most part. But if you're in one and you're actually being open-minded, depending on how it's going to go is going to depend on the agenda of whoever the admin is that first sees that. I mean, I get kicked out of groups all the time. I mean, I could care less, because the bottom line for me is, okay, so I got kicked out of this group. Okay, well, I'm in 200 other groups right now with all the same people that are in this other group right here. So, and what I'm saying by that is, if you're an admin of a group, you know, and somebody's kind of disagreeing and they're being respectful, just leave it alone. You know, don't try to, you know, become superhero. Oh, I'm an admin, so I'm going to kick you out. Whatever. Nobody's life's going to collapse. Nothing's, you know, no one's going to lose any sleep. And everybody that's in that group that you're an admin for, okay, they're in every other group. So it's not like you're protecting anybody and you've got this small group of people. Everybody's in every group. So, you know, so it's really important, especially if you're an admin, to, you know, if somebody's being a total complete ass, absolutely, just kick them right out. But if they're saying something that you don't necessarily agree with, that's not your place as an admin to kick them out or to censor them because you disagree. Your whole point of an admin, because I'm an admin for some groups, is to watch and make sure that people are being respectful of each other. Disagreeing with somebody isn't being disrespectful. Going at somebody's throat is being disrespectful. So if you're an admin, again, I'm going to say it, and you've got an agenda, then throw in the belt, man, because you're going to be miserable.
Yeah, Mike, any more to back that up?
No, that's pretty good.
That was well said. And, you know, the thing with admins, I mean, even like, you know, we're admins of our pages, all three of us, and, you know, and whatever the agenda is, I can tell you for our page, our Facebook page, a lot of stuff that we post is all educational based. You know, I get it all the time. Well, Gary, you're a Bigfoot page. How come you're not posting Bigfoot stories? Why aren't you posting, you know, all this person had this encounter and that encounter? Listen, at the end of the day, there's so many good Bigfoot stories. We understand that. And, you know, we listen to them all. But unfortunately, just like when we're telling you stories, we can't fully back up those claims. We want to put out information to keep you safe in the environment. We want to put information out to help further the field of study that we're doing. We want to put stuff out that, like we're talking about tracks right now, that will be able to help you understand what a track looks like in the snow, what a track looks like in the mud, things like that. You know, maybe tree structures, but we don't really post much about tree structures either because, you know, once again, this is all phenomena that we don't know about. So on our page, as far as, you know, we don't put out a lot of the whole Bigfoot stories unless it's something that's been backed up somehow. Like, you know, was it the, there's different stories with like missing 411 and things like that, that you can actually back those stories up by police reports and things. So it just, once again, depends on what the agenda is. And, you know, Kenny, you said it perfectly. You can go into a group and that says that they're open-minded, which once again, it's, you know, even we're open-minded to, you know, about all subject matters. But in those groups, you're going to bring in those people that are not open-minded. And once again, so you can say that you're an open-minded individual, great. But once you start bringing in all those, you know, thousands of people that now talk about, you know, the subject of Bigfoot, which people are very passionate about, I think that's what drives it. You know, and it's funny. No, I mean, I guess I don't want to say I know because that would be a fact, and then I'm assuming, right?
No, people. There's a theory that people are very passionate about the subject, without a doubt.
You just said theory. I heard you, but
I did.
No, yeah, you know, you're 100% though, and that's the thing is that passion drives people to then get to a point where it's like, all right, you know, I'm a flesh and blood guy, so no matter what, this is what it is because science states A, B, C, D, E, okay? Or I believe that it's a spiritual being because I see this in A, B, C, D. And then the head's butt, right? And then, but they just don't kind of come outside of those boxes. And then when people try to state facts, it turns into a shit show. which, sometimes it's fun to read. I'm not going to lie. It is fun to read sometimes. But I shake my head like, really, this is happening right now? Like, this is real conversation. But it's not even just Bigfoot. It's all these group pages. I mean, we see the censorship and all this. I belong to an ice fishing page. And today, the whole conversation was this guy wanted to be picked up because he doesn't have a vehicle, right? And then he got into then next thing you know, his friend's like, well, you're a freeloader, right in the middle of the page. And then it turned into this bickering back and forth. And the guy couldn't spell, so it made it even funnier. And then there's all of us are sitting there watching them fight. And I'm not going to lie, it was funny as hell. I'm like, this is an ice fishing page, and you guys are talking about girls and shit like that and ex-girlfriends. But, it's like you see the banter start happening, and we see that, especially in the Bigfoot field. What's up, Brandy and Angela? So one thing, okay. So this is the next thing that we'll talk about. What's even evolved this? So we have Bigfoot researchers, right? So whatever you want to classify a Bigfoot researcher as, I guess the three of us are self-proclaimed Bigfoot researchers. I mean, we weren't given a title; we gave ourselves that title. I
gotta tell you, I've never actually carried that title until I joined the NYBS, and you actually gave me the title, because I would not give it to myself, and I still have a hard time carrying it because there's so many people like you, Gary, that are just phenomenal at it and know what you're doing, and I'm stumbling like a drunken fool just trying to keep up. But I'm learning as I'm going, so that's that's the whole thing. So, but I will say I'm not self-proclaimed, because I wouldn't do it until you said it, and you said, all right, you're on the team. This is what it is. So
all right. So 99% of the field is self-proclaimed Bigfoot people, except for the cryptopunkologist. That's an explorer. He's an explorer, people.
Yes.
So don't
like
forget
Dora.
that. Like Dora the Explorer, and he's Aquaman tonight with his background. So, but I mean, we're kind of like self-proclaimed people, but all of us are individuals. I mean, we're no different, all three of us. Just because I may have been doing this for a very long time and you guys may have not been doing it as long, we're still all equals in the field because we all know what we know. And we constantly learn. Like, I learned so much from Mike from Long Island that I would have never even looked into up until meeting him. So it's kind of the same thing, kind of like, when I brought you upon a part of the team, you kind of then evolved into, our system and things like that. Just like I'm evolving with Mike, something that I would have never looked into 1,000 years. And then you have a respect of that. Because the stuff Mike comes up with is absolutely amazing. I mean, but I would have never looked into that up until recently. But once again, us three can work in those senses, and then we can also comment on stuff and agree to disagree all day long, because we all do. But when we get into the censorship field, and here's a good one, and this is what we're going to get into, is once again, it's the people that are running the show. So whatever like their agenda is their agenda trying to, with the egos, is their agenda trying to be like the best group they could be, and blah, blah, blah. One thing that I find that happens a lot to me is I get blocked. Like, I'll start once again rambling in and just come in and be like, no, listen, this is really what it is. And I'll give them examples, and I'm trying to find, here we go. And Randy Bell said it perfectly. And this is what we'll talk. We'll bring him up on the show. Boom, there he is. Sorry, everything's slow today. It's, yes, he's gotten blocked. I've been blocked many times. And we're going to show a video clip of me getting blocked recently. And, it's, yeah. I mean, and Mike, I'm sure you get blocked too, right?
All the time. I do it too. I'm guilty.
Yeah, and Kenny's getting kicked out of whole groups. I mean, they're just like, yo, listen, you're out of the whole group. But once again, this is all censorship of like, just because people don't agree with what you're saying, whatever, if they post and then they kind of get butthurt about it, you got to learn just to kind of take feedback and not get so hurt. Now, the problem I also see with a lot of these, people that post the stuff that isn't, that could be something else. Now, I don't fault them at all for posting something they believe is Bigfoot. I don't, because that's awesome. I'm the first one to tell you, I really want it to be Bigfoot. I really want it to be something that is like, blows me away. And I can be like, wow, that's some awesome stuff that they caught. And how did they catch it? And what can we do to then try to almost find what they got? So, I want it to be something that's, I'm trying to do chat too, so Sorry. I want it to be something that's like awesome, but in the same sense, we only want to put out good stuff. This is the problem that we're seeing in the Bigfoot field, is the more crap you put out, we're already laughed about now, okay, by being a Bigfoot researcher, okay? And then when people are constantly putting out stuff that's like, it's garbage, and when I say garbage, I don't mean it in a negative way, in the fact of the person doing it is a bad person, but there needs to be some educational background right there to put that out as far as what you're seeing. Bigfoot nests are a big thing to me now. It's really funny. And everybody has a Bigfoot nest, right? Like literally everybody has a Bigfoot nest. And, but let's think about that. Now, half of these Bigfoot nests can't even fit a Bigfoot. I mean, the ones that I'm seeing, like, well, look at this Bigfoot nest. And I'm sitting there like one or two things.
They're not all. Bigfoot does not make all those.
Yeah, okay. And you see them.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. It's not all them that makes those.
You know, one of the things that when I'm looking at pictures of those, like I'll zoom in on like sticks, like the edges that are kind of out, and look to see, hey, is this twisted or is there an actual cut? And a lot of the time, if you look close enough, you'll actually see like there's some nice sharp cuts, and you know, so that gives it away right then and there. You know, hey, this was man-made. You know, somebody did some training out, showed a father showed a son how to survive in the woods or what have you. But a lot of the time, I mean, if you get close enough to them and you zoom in and it doesn't, get too pixely, you can actually see, where, some looks like somebody used an axe or some type of saw. So there's little things you can look for, but.
Yeah. And there's, footsteps. Like I posted a TP one on our page one day, just I found it in the woods. Nothing, but I knew people made it because I was there. And I saw all the footprints and everything, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." It's just, it was, kids and parents, and that's
our kids have made them in the front yard because they want to play Bigfoot, and they do a damn good job.
Yeah,
and
so
the oldest one is 7 now, I think. So
yeah,
I made so many forts in the woods when I was a kid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I just did, and I think back, to some of them, and some of them were pretty awesome. So it's just like, I mean, it's, the best that an 8-year-old could do, but, I mean, there's so many reasons, why some of these would exist. And again, I mean, I've seen some where you're looking at it and the person's standing right in front of it and somebody's taking a picture. And like you said, a Bigfoot wouldn't even fit in that. I mean, the person that's standing in front of it, looks like maybe they're like a little over 5 feet tall, and they'd barely be able to get in the hole on it. So,
well, sometimes it could be dug out underneath, or it could be like protecting an underground entrance or something to that effect. Other times there are parts that are human cut, and like you could see that they make it their own. Like they'll take a huge tree snap and put it into it, or you'll see things bent and tucked under it, and like you could tell that like they've kind of claimed it as their own now, or like they put their own spin on it, or whatever they're doing, saying like maybe they're just checking it off, like this is safe, you can come, whatever they're doing with that. Other times, like you have to look, if you buy a bike trail, like one area goes near a mountain, there's a mountain bike trail that goes through, and it looks like there's a nest on the side, but it's not. These people are cutting off all the trees that are going across the trail, so they don't want to get clothesline, and they make it piles with them. So yeah, it's iffy. You really gotta look at what you're doing a little bit. Like I had to get in one, and it was the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But like, that's how I started really learning. I started going in. I was like, you know what? It's taboo, whatever. I don't care. I do it respectfully. I make a big ass announcement before I go in. You know what I mean? I'm trying to come back out, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Sometimes it's the want for it to be something. You know what I mean? So. And I'm guilty. Like I'm guilty. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that was this, and then I'm like, oh, damn, it wasn't. But
no, but that's okay. Like I'm guilty of that too. Every researcher is guilty of that. I mean, I can only go by a story I heard. I heard that one of the Finding Bigfoot people found moose tracks, but he said it was Bigfoot tracks, but they were proven by a wildlife biologist to be moose tracks. And then once again, we're all guilty of things, of misidentification. I've misidentified plenty of things in the woods.
I know what post. Yeah, I know what post you're talking about. The post changed, it changed over and over.
It changes over and over, which is fine. But I mean, and it is what it is. I could care less what it is, honestly. But at the end of the day, it's okay to be wrong. Same thing like Kenny and I say with doing Project X. If I'm wrong thinking Bigfoot's a flesh and blood creature, guess what? I'm okay with that, because at least at the end of the day, we're out there trying. Mike, I look up to someone like you because you're out there doing the work that other people are bitching about while sitting in an armchair on their computer, not even outside in the winter. You know what I mean? So they can just complain, but you're out there doing it. Yeah, but you write books. You write books.
Yeah, I know.
But Kenny, I mean, that's another thing too, which a lot of people, don't realize is, as an author, you got two people that are in the woods often, myself and Mike, but someone that's an author that does so much research, you're still a part of the community as far as the knowledge base you have and just the, of the Bigfoot phenomenon, but not even just Bigfoot, because you do all the cryptids with that. So there's other means of research, but how are you answer other people? You don't come across as, listen, that's blah, and it's not like that. You know what I mean? It's in a very positive manner. And that's the main thing, Footer Nation, that we're trying to get across is censorship in the Bigfoot field. When you come across something like that and you make a factual comment, you got to do it positive, very positively. Don't, like Kenny said, don't come in like a bull in a china shop and start ripping them apart. It doesn't help anything. So I'm going to show a video, because this is a video that, once again, this person posted bear tracks. Okay. A bunch of people in the comment thread were ripping this person apart, saying it's a bear, blah, blah, blah. Understand what you're looking at. I came in very positively, like very kindly, like I usually do. And then the person jumped all down my throat. And then another person came in and said that she's an expert because she watches TV and watches Bigfoot TV. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, because that was one of the most funniest things I've seen in a while. Let me pull it up. So just bear with me for 1 second here. All right. Let's see if we can get it up now. Play. Man, this thing does not want my life today. All right, let me get this thing off. Okay. So all right. So what that was we were talking about Bigfoot tracks, and well, this person said that she had Bigfoot tracks on her property. There were two different sizes. There's no way that, any kind of bear or any other creature could have two different size feet, as they were walking. The gait of the tracks themselves were, and once again, very small. It wasn't like there wasn't a large step range. So I chimed in very politely to saying, they're, once again, they're bear tracks. You can look by. I gave them all the examples of why they're bear tracks. We see bear tracks in the woods all the time. Being in upstate New York, we come across bears. I've come across multiple bears in the woods, and that's just never a fun time. And then you have, once again, another person chiming in now because a woman got mad at me. She's just like, well, this is my opinion and blah, 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 starts coming in at me. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm done with the conversation. And then another woman came at me saying that it was a baby Bigfoot and their mother. Okay, that's why there's two different size tracks. All right. And that she watches a lot of Bigfoot TV shows and she knows for a fact that's a baby Bigfoot and their mother. So you better be very careful because once again, you may have a negative encounter.
Oh, that's what she was. I just saw that at the end there. I didn't know. I didn't understand.
Be very careful because it's like a mama and her cub. Now, this is the thing, and then Kenney actually brought this up because I got blocked after that. After that, I could no longer see the conversation. They blocked me. Person no longer wanted me involved and censored me in that conversation. And then Kenney just brought up something too that I didn't even think about. He goes, well, Gary, did you tell him that you were on Bigfoot TV because you've been on multiple TV shows? And I'm like, no, I didn't even think about that at the time. But I guess, like, you know, once again, she watches Bigfoot TV, so she's the expert. And once again, none of us are experts in the Bigfoot field. None of us are. But this is what we're dealing with. I mean, guys, what do you even say to something like that? Because this is what we're against.
As far as experts in the field, I always like to say it like this: when you're looking at that and you're talking about experts, there is no such thing as an expert. For anybody who's never heard me say this, I'm saying it right now. There's no such thing as an expert in any of this because there's no accountability. Anybody can really say anything they want right now. But what I will say are there are professionals in the field, and there's a big difference. There's people that have been doing it for a long time. They're very professional about it. They're very respectful about it. And again, it's hard to say that you're an expert in something that nothing that can't actually be proven and followed up on. Like my example is always if somebody says, hey, black bears during the summer turn their fur inside out so their skin's exposed so they can stay cool. Well, I can go down to the local library and go, okay, no, that's not true. With the subject of, paranormal cryptids, again, it's kind of like a free-for-all. And there's experiences, which, every experience that I've ever had, I can't explain it. And I'm also not going to say this is exactly 100% what it is. But, to touch on the expert part of it, I mean, there's professionals out there. I had one guy come at me one time, he's like, well, I've been doing this for 30 to 40 years, so I'm an expert at it, but yet he doesn't know any more than I know right now. I didn't consider that person to be an expert. I even had a hard time considering them to be a professional because, he wanted to bring people down to kind of raise himself up, which isn't the right thing to do. So again, in my opinion, there's no such thing as an expert, but there's definitely professionals in this field. There's professional paranormal investigators. There's professional Bigfoot and cryptid researchers. So without a doubt, I definitely would say, I like Scott, what qualifies anyone as an expert? A lot of the time, it's usually themselves, I guess.
An ego.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's TV that does that. I mean, honestly. Because when we watch TV, they automatically say you're an expert or a paranormal expert or a Bigfoot expert or, I mean, at the end of the day, all of us in any of these paranormal fields, ufology, ghosts, Bigfoot, cryptozoology, we're experts in BS because we're telling stories. And we're telling our stories that is our truth. But once again, like Kenney says, that there's no degree that you get for as an expert in cryptozoology. I mean, you can say a scientist is an expert, but they're only an expert in what they're doing. So that's what they're an expert in. That can help the phenomena, So
Yep.
if someone, so I guess, you know, if they say stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I think that's TV. But a lot of the new people coming into the Bigfoot field because of TV shows like Finding Bigfoot on reruns, and, you know, Expedition Bigfoot, I think it's called, the new one. You know, it's great that people are interested in the subject matter, and it's absolutely amazing. And everybody wants to find a Bigfoot and see a Bigfoot, and they say that until they actually see one. And then the people that actually see them wish they didn't see them, most of them. But in the same sense, they're out there trying to do the work, which I guess I give them credit for on that. But trying to say that these things that they learn watching TV is exactly what a Bigfoot does, that's where the problems start lying.
Well, you know, and not only with that, you know, with TV, because, you know, like, you know, in for anybody that, you know, because Gary mentioned, you know, he was in some Bigfoot shows. Like, we're not like knocking TV, but you got to remember there's ratings, there's people that are in some of these shows that are legit people.
Yeah.
And then it goes into editing. You know, it's like, you know, I filmed last summer in New York City, and they had me saying lines that I don't know where those lines are going to be put in.
Yeah.
You know, so it you know, so again, you know, TV, there's a lot of entertainment in TV. And so again, there's a lot of legit people that are in a lot of these shows. And so there's a lot of editing, there's a lot of production, there's a lot of conversations where, you know, somebody's talking about one situation that happened, but yet it is spliced over into this side of the TV show. So it's kind of looking like the person saying this and that. And again, TV's for entertainment. There are some educational values that do come from it. And there are some great documentaries. I love the show Finding Bigfoot. One of my friends is in the show Expedition Bigfoot. You know, they're legit people. But you know, again, there's a whole another side of it, the production side of it, that a lot of folks don't take into consideration. That you know, they're like, oh, well, this person's saying this, and they know this and that. Well, you don't know what they were saying and where that segment was dropped in onto the show. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So. No,
and you're 100% correct. I mean, I can actually tell you that when I did a National Geographic show, the producer made me park the car 7 times. 7 times I had to back up, drive, park, open my trunk. I mean, it's all production. And I think that's what the general public doesn't realize, is that, you know, once again, we get the chance to go and do this stuff for TV. I mean, not many people are going to turn that down. Let's be real. So, but when we get there, we have zero control of what happens. We're just puppets in the whole entire production. You know, I got blasted on, you know, the America's Book of Secrets show after, because people thought that I thought Bigfoot was an alien, because once again, it's the way they made the show. I can't help if they put aliens and Bigfoot together in the same show. That has nothing to do with me, but people don't realize that. The general public doesn't realize that. And I think that's what happens, Kenny, is, you know, and you've done TV now, is that people look at these TV shows, and Mike, you can chime in too, because you're part of all this too, is that people watch these shows and think that, oh, well, they're the experts because they're out in the woods doing that. The critics now, the people who don't believe in this stuff that are watching us, are like, wow, these guys are morons. They're out there knocking on trees and talking about this stuff, and what they're doing is completely wrong, and why would you do that? You know, but I think that's the problem with a lot of the public, and this is all ties into the censorship, because people watch these shows and think that knocking on trees and looking at tree structures and nests, as you know, we were talking about with Mike, but that's not really what it is at all in a lot of ways.
One of the first things I had to do was learn to unlearn everything I heard. That everything that they say to do, that's right, and people swear that this is how you do it, and that's everything I started to hear, I had to unlearn it. And, you know, like, a lot of these, I mean, I don't see how you could bang your head up against that wall over and over and over and over and over again. Like, if you've gotten a tree knock in a month, to me, that's not a quality time spent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
whether they're flesh and blood or not, you can totally tell from history that they have like personality, that they're individuals, that they have smarts, that they have wit, that if they have the ability to avoid us, they have the ability to get around us the same way. Like, you know what I mean? So like, why not try to build some kind of relationship? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hit a tree, you know what I mean? Like, to call, like, I don't know. To me, like, I just had to unlearn all that stuff. And find my own way about it. But you know, as far as that narrative goes and certain things, some people are looking to create a certain bubble, and they're looking for like fortune and fame and stuff, and that, a lot of that appeals to people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can, in this field, you can turn it into a business. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are really interested in doing that. And you know, it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate, but it happens.
Well, this is good. I'm glad you brought this up. When I was ice fishing yesterday, you know, catching absolutely nothing as usual, I was listening to some podcasts because that's my new thing now. Is I'm like, you know what? Since I'm ice fishing, I might as well listen to podcasts while I'm sitting here catching absolutely nothing, and other than frostbite. And so I was listening to this one show, and this guy said, I forget the guy's name. I'm going to post it on our Bigfoot page because I have it saved on my phone. And the guy said this. He's like, I don't knock people going out into the woods or going out into the world, because this guy is a world explorer. So he looks at all the cryptids, and he's a doctor. He's a PhD. He's a doctor. He says, I don't knock the people going out and trying to explore these areas to find cryptids, because there's so much legend and lore, right? That's what Kenney studies. You know, there's a whole bunch of, you know, cave writings and all this stuff's drawn all over the walls. Mike, that's your wheelhouse, right? You know, and he goes, some of these tribes that there's flesh and blood creatures that are bipedal creatures throughout the whole planet, talking about Bigfoot. But this guy looks at all the cryptids. He's talking about the ones in South America, everything. Australia is a big one. I mean, I know huge. Australia has all sorts of things, it seems. But anyway, he says that, so those people, you can question them, but you shouldn't ever really go after them, because they're not in it for fame and fortune. They're not making money off of it. The only people that should be then critically questioned are the people making money off the subject in some way, shape, or form. And so people that are coming in stating a fact. So they said, well, Bigfoot is this, okay? And then they're making money off of that fact by going in whatever they're doing. Because then they're a business. They have now turned into their own self-business because they're making profit off of other people with it. Those people then have to be able to answer to whoever, because you're making money, you know? And then he got into, well, a lot of these people that make money off of Bigfoot, you know, or other things like that, are they doing the right taxes and all that stuff? Because I guess a lot of these people don't go through those channels because they're just making money, you know, and we know hoaxes. And a lot of it, he's talking about a lot of the hoaxers, you know, the people that say, well, we have A, B, C, D. So if we look at it as a whole, and he did, you know, and I thought about it, like, you know what, he is kind of right in a ways, because we're all amateurs in this field, all of us. And we're not trying to make profit off of it. Yeah, yes, we have names. All three of us have a name in the field, okay? And that's it, a name. But the people that are trying to make like thousands and thousands of dollars, then, you know, they're the ones that do have to have an answer, whatever that answer is, because they're the ones that are stating the claims of saying it A, B, and C. Now, people that write books like Kenney, who just study the folklore of everything, that's a whole different genre, because he's not stating a fact, you know, but it's the people that write these. He made a perfect example. He goes, if I was to write a Bigfoot book, right, and saying I know A, B, C, D, okay, I know that they do tree knocks, I know that they do this, I know that they do that. He goes, that person's now accountable because they're making money off their book. And this is just, I mean, this isn't my opinion. This is what he was saying. He goes, they're making money off the book because the guy has never seen, the person would then have to say he saw Bigfoot knock a tree. He would have to then say that he saw this, because once again, he's making money off a subject matter that any of us could technically make money off of, because all thing we would have to do is I could write a memoir and be like, well, you know, but I would be accountable for what I'm saying, because I would be making money on my own self-proclaimed business. And I never really thought about it that way until I kind of listened to his podcast. I'm like, all right, well, that kind of makes sense in a way, because we hold people accountable, right? Like Bigfoot, what's your favorite saying, Kenny? Like, there's no accountability, right?
Exactly.
So if there's no accountability in the Bigfoot field, okay, and I'm just picking on Bigfoot right now because that's what we're talking about, but it could be any cryptid. So if there's no accountability, but if you start stating facts, so if you write, I mean, I'll just if I wrote a book and then I started stating facts in that book, doesn't that then make me accountable for the words that I'm putting on that paper? And then I'm making money off of those words. So that's, and I never thought about that. So it's like he does. I mean, to me, that is some credit. That does bring up the question, because that's a form of censorship also. Because now these individuals are writing these books and saying these are facts, but those facts are based on loose stories. Mm-hmm. Loose stories in the Bigfoot field. That what Mike, you said it perfectly. What did you have to do when you started doing Bigfoot? Unlearn everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. So we're basing these stories based on what we learn in the Bigfoot community, right? And then people write books about what they know, B, but they're writing those books because they're going to make money off of those books. Or movies, and I'm just saying books, but movies and film, and I'm just going by what he was talking about. So we got to really stop and think about that in documentaries, because we got to be held accountable for what we're talking about.
To go off of that, like I mean, a lot of the books that I've read, I mean, I've definitely come across books that I've read that had very good theories, but it was being presented as like, this is fact. This is 100% true. And I'll tell anybody, I mean, I've got some educational stuff in my books, but a lot of my books are for entertainment. And what I mean by that is, for anybody that's into lore, into Native American lore and cryptids, they're not into it just because they're it also entertains them, and for me, like, it entertains me to write this stuff, write these different subjects. I mean, what I have found in the community along the lines of, different from what you were just saying, Gary, that this gentleman was saying, because I do agree with that. If you're saying something's fact, you're now accountable to that fact that you're saying. I have noticed that people seem to have a problem with somebody that actually makes some money off of what they're doing, which, I personally, like, I'm one of those people, I don't care what people make money off of. I've never cared. You know what? Like there's people out there that actually, this is what they do for a living. Like, one of the most humble guys, most knowledgeable guys, a friend of mine, Ken Gerhardt. Okay, guy, this is what he does for a living. This is what he does for a living. And, there's a lot of people that's what they do. I was actually called out by some guy saying, "Oh, are you trying to be famous? You're trying to do this, you're trying to do that." And my first answer was like, yeah, to a degree. I mean, am I trying to be the number one guy? No, but do I want people to buy my books? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do I have publishers that have a quota on my head where we got to sell? Yeah, we do. But at the same time, again, I had this one guy call me out, and he's like, you're trying to be famous, you're trying to do this and that and make money off the subject, which isn't right, and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up going to this guy's profile page, and, well, he authored a book that's on Amazon right now. But yeah, because what I write is a different style and a different way from what he was writing. He was feeling like, well, this is different. And I said, you're selling your book on Amazon for $30, which is unheard of, in my opinion, especially for somebody who's not signed to a publisher. That's unheard of. And he said to me, well, I've never made a dime off of it. Okay, your book sucks. I don't know what to tell you. Why do you have a problem with me because my book's selling? Okay, I don't make a lot of money off my stuff. I'm lucky if I make $1 off a book, because everybody else gets paid before the author actually gets paid. But at the same time, who's this guy, coming after me, having a problem with me in what I'm doing, and again, if I'm the guy that's going out there and I'm calling everybody else out, well, yeah, come after me. But you know what? I personally don't care what anybody else is. People are going to go out and hoax and fake. That's on them, and I've also, under the thinking of too, a lot of the time, I'll hear folks say to me, well, people doing this and that, makes me look stupid and what I do, which I agree to a degree, but I look at it like this. I'm accountable to myself. And the only person that can make Kenney W.I.R.S., the cryptopunkologist, look stupid and be an idiot is me. I'm accountable to myself. So, I mean, so many people, again, have knocked the show Finding Bigfoot. Oh, they're a bunch of idiots. Well, they're legit guys also that have been doing this for a long time. Cliff Bracken's friggin' brilliant. Okay. Maybe you don't think so seeing him on the show, but he is brilliant. And, he knows about, footprints. I mean, he's got a specialty in that. But I would hope at some point folks would, care less about what somebody else is doing and maybe focus a little more on what they're doing and not necessarily, think that, what this person is doing. Yeah, I make money off the subject. I do. It is. If I speak somewhere and they're paying me, I make money off of it. Am I making a living? No. Would I love to be able to make a living off of doing what I love and I'm passionate about? Absolutely. But I'm not there. I'm not trying to become rich and famous, but it comes down to one of those things. I'm also not trying to treat other people like garbage who are out there they're doing the work, because I'm in an office more than I'm out in the woods. And so I could definitely fall under the realm of, the computer chair guy. I really could. But everybody's got their gifts and their passions. I mean, what you two do, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you guys are constantly, every time I see you guys posting something, you guys are out in the woods. I'm in my office at work going, oh man, I wish I was with them. So again, there's passions, and everybody brings a different aspect to this field and subject, and we gotta embrace that and be passionate about that. So.
No, I agree 100%. And like, I think, and once again, it goes right back to square one. What we did, how we even started this, this little tangent we got on, is that it comes down to entertainment versus how it's perceived. You watch TV, all these people watch TV, right? I mean, we all do. Now, Amazon, you go on Amazon, there's a million documentaries. You only have to have a cell phone, you can make a documentary. And, but everybody's watching this. So we watch TV. But like you said, Kenney, and you said it perfectly, it's entertainment. That's what it is. It's entertainment. All right. But then when you have these people that do come out, and I think this is the big problem, and I agree with you all the time. You and I talk about this. Like, why do people care what I'm doing and you're doing? Like, and Mike, you're the same way. Why do people care? Listen, they don't live my life. I don't bother their day. Like, you want to come do my laundry, go ahead. Like, I don't have anything to even do with you. I have nothing to do with you. But you're still watching what I'm doing. Are you that bored in your life? My life is not exciting. It really isn't. But at the end of the day, it's entertainment. But then we have these certain people that come out and they'll write a book or put out a documentary, and they say, well, this is fact. And the minute you use that word fact, now you have taken that and flipped it into a whole different phenomena, because you're stating something now, which once you make a statement, we don't talk facts. The only facts we talk are like, if I know it's a bear track, it's a bear track. Or, if Will knows it's, like a Fisher cat or, some kind of coyote, he will say, this is a Fisher cat and a coyote, right? But that's the only facts we talk. We don't talk about Bigfoot facts. We don't, because if there was fact, we wouldn't even be talking about this subject. We wouldn't even need to be doing half the stuff we do in this subject, because we would have facts to back up what we're doing. I'm so bored. I watch you knock and fit. Dory.
I just read that.
The way I phrase it is like, I even if I figure something out, like I figured it out for this area, in my little small, little tiny corner of the world. You know what I mean? This does not pertain to everywhere and everything, because I don't know. I don't know every Bigfoot, every corner of the world. I don't know how they operate everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it don't work like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a across the board thing. If you even figure out something about a Bigfoot, I don't think that goes across the board for everything. Mm-mm. I think they're individuals. I think that's the way it is. But
well, yeah, and everything's an individual, and I totally agree with you on that. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even debate that. But but it's just like the whole purpose, and we're going to wrap up this show. But the whole purpose of this show is there's major censorship out there, and we gave you multiple examples of it. And even people in the chat, you guys were talking about how you've been blocked, how people tear you apart. Kenney was talking about, don't tear people down, lift people up. Mike and myself, we've been torn down. You know what I mean? And we kind of sit here and I kind of chuckle at it because I'm like, all right, well, that's your opinion. That's great. But, at the end of the day, and that's all it is opinion. And Kenney, as Kenney says, it's theory. Everything we talk is theory, unless it's a fact. Bear tracks are a fact. So we have to remember that. So what we can learn from this show is this. If people are trying to help you, don't get pissy with them. Don't, because there's no reason. They're trying to help you in a positive manner. If you're new to the subject matter, and you watch some Bigfoot TV shows and you want to get out there, it's okay. Go get out there. There's no problem. Go do what you want to do. But you're going to hear from me as far as be safe doing it. Because once you're into the woods, it's a whole different monster. And I'm not talking Bigfoot. I'm just talking the woods in general. In general. All right. So you need to know your stuff to get back out of the woods. That's a key thing. If you go in, make sure you know enough to come back out, because you need to remember the places that we're going are on a trail. We start on a trail and then we disappear into the woods. Once you're into the woods, that's it. And then once you're into the woods, you can get turned around really quick. Wintertime is the best time, only because you can follow your tracks right back out. So you know what? But up in the Northeast, we need snowshoes, and there's still people going into the mountain with no snowshoes, and they're post holing all over the place. And what a post hole is when you go all the way up to your crotch in snow, and you ruin it for everybody else because now someone can break a leg, or you just broke your own leg doing that. Make sure you just know what you're doing. But censorship needs to kind of stop, because by you censoring what other people are talking about, other people that are trying to help you, and then you block them, you could be blocking a very knowledgeable person that's been doing this forever, has an understanding of what they're doing, and then you shut that person up, and then you have 100 other people liking your posts that don't even know what they're talking about. And that's the thing, is that when you get these posts that have 100, 200, 300 likes, right? And it's about a bear track or something that doesn't even, or a tree structure that was made by a bushcrafter or was natural, or a Bigfoot nest that isn't a Bigfoot nest whatsoever. And you got the masses liking these posts, and then you're blocking the people who are trying to tell you otherwise to help you. That is a problem. That's a problem, because it's about accountability, and then there's an agenda to that. What is your agenda? Why you're blocking certain people? And that's a problem. So Footer Nation, once again, be positive. Talk about these subject matters in a positive way. Still talk the truth of what the matter is, because it's important. But if the people start getting want to fight with you, just leave the conversation. But when you get blocked, that needs to come to an end. That really needs to come to an end, because you can't be blocking people that may know what they're talking about in a positive manner. Guys, what do you got on the last talk? So, Kenney, anything else?
No, just if you're going out, just be safe. And if you're new to it, just reach out to the NYBS through Facebook and message Gary, and he'll tell you what you need to do to be safe out there, and get you home safe.
That's the key thing. Footer Nation, please understand the main thing is coming home safe. I'm not saying even Bigfoot related. This has nothing to do with Bigfoot related. Coming out of the woods safe, it's not the easiest thing to do for a lot of people. So understand that. Got to really understand the concepts. Mike, what do you got left?
Nothing really. I agree. I mean, I'm military trained. I mean, I get lost. Sometimes night drops on you quick. You get dark. You don't know where you're going. Like it's happened to me. It's easy. It happens quick. Make sure you're prepared. Pack a little bit of water, even if you don't think you're going to be out there for long. Just little things like that, and just be safe. Tell somebody where you are. That's what I do. I tell Sarah, and no matter where I'm going, she knows where I am. If I don't answer you for 3 hours, whatever, something like that.
Have an agenda. Leave an itinerary. Always have that. What I'm going to leave you, Footer Nation, is this safety tip. 1 is none. 2 is 1. What I mean by that is you have 1. If that goes out, it's none. So if you have that 1 headlamp, you're in the woods, the batteries die or it's now malfunctioning, you are now screwed. You have 2. You have a backup. Okay, so 1 is none. 2 is 1. If you go by those standards in your rucksacks and packs in the woods, you then at least will have, what you need. When Kenny and I go out with the other team, they have a gear pack. They have a gear list I gave them. So we end up having 3 or 4, which is really, if we have 4, that's 3. So always subtract 1. That's a little bit of a tip. Pack your rucks with extra stuff, and water's a big one. All right, as always, guys, keep it squatchy. We'll see you out on the trail. Deuces, everyone.